Have you ever really stopped to think about where ideas about government and law even come from? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible story of ancient Rome. We'll see how it went from a republic, run by its people, to this massive empire, and how its legacy is, believe it or not, still all around us.
Seriously, think about it. Why do we vote for our leaders? Why do we have this core belief that our laws should treat everyone fairly? Well, the answers to these huge questions started taking shape thousands of years ago in Rome. Their ideas were a total game changer back then, and they really did build the foundation of the world we live in today.
Okay, so where did this all begin? In the very early days, Rome was ruled by kings, and a lot of people felt that it just wasn't fair. So, around 509 BC, they decided to make a massive change. They actually overthrew their king and set out to create a new, and hopefully better, way to govern themselves. What they came up with was this amazing idea called a republic. And the main idea was super simple, but so powerful. No more kings. Period. Instead, citizens would get to vote for people to represent them and make decisions on their behalf. This was a huge deal, and this new kind of government would actually last for almost 500 years.
But, this new republic wasn't exactly perfect. It wasn't equal for everybody. Roman society was pretty much split into two main groups. Think of it this way. You had the patricians, this small, elite group of rich, powerful families who basically held all the cards. And then you had the plebeians, which was, well, pretty much everyone else. The farmers, the merchants, the workers. And even though the plebeians were citizens, they had to fight constantly just to have their voices heard.
So, for centuries, the Republic just kept getting bigger and stronger, conquering more and more land. But here's the ironic part. All of that incredible success started to create these huge new problems that threatened to tear the whole thing apart from the inside. Here's kind of how it all went down. As Rome got bigger, its soldiers, who were also just regular farmers, had to go fight in wars far from home for a really long time. When many of them finally came back, they found out they'd lost their farms. So now you have all these jobless, landless soldiers who started to feel way more loyal to their powerful generals, the guys who promised them pay, than they did to the government itself. And that shift in loyalty, well, it created a ton of instability. After years and years of chaos and even civil war, a new leader stepped up who promised a totally different solution. And this moment right here, it marks the beginning of the next great chapter in Roman history, the age of the Roman Empire. Yup, in 27 BC, we hit a major turning point. After nearly 500 years, the Roman Republic was officially over. Rome's very first emperor, a guy named Augustus, took power. And he promised to end all the chaos and bring order back to a society that was basically falling apart. And you know what? He actually delivered. His rule kicked off this amazing 200-year period of peace and prosperity that we now call the Pax Romana, which literally just means Roman peace. For the first time in generations, the entire Roman world was stable. And during this long peace, the empire just flourished. The Romans built these incredible roads that connected their huge territories, which made trade safe and super easy. And this didn't just help move stuff around. It also meant that new ideas and beliefs, like the religion of Christianity, could travel and spread like wildfire. So, after all that history, from a republic to an empire, through all that conflict and peace, what did the Romans really leave behind for us? Let's take a look at some of their most important gifts. So many of the most important ideas we have about law today come straight from Rome. I mean, the belief that everyone should be equal under the law, that laws themselves should be fair, and even the power of a leader to veto something, it all started here. These ideas are the absolute bedrock of so many governments all over the world. And the Romans were also just master builders. I mean, they were incredibly practical. They built roads so well that some of them are still around today. They invented a type of concrete that let them build massive structures like the Colosseum. And they engineered these amazing aqueducts to bring fresh, clean water right into their cities. Okay, so as you start digging into your reading, here is the first big idea to keep in your head. Rome's story teaches us this really powerful lesson. When a society gets too big and too unequal, sometimes people will choose a single, strong leader over their own freedom, all for the promise of stability and order. And here's your second key takeaway. Rome's most lasting legacy isn't really its stone buildings, It's the invisible ideas. You could almost say they created the software for modern society. These concepts of law, citizenship, and representative government that were so powerful, we're still running updated versions of them 2,000 years later. So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Rome gave the world a blueprint, a lasting blueprint for how we think about law, how we think about government, and what it even means to be a citizen. And that's a legacy that is still shaping our world every single day.